Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Laura Lynn Morrissey. She is a founder of SilverSavvy, a platform catering to individuals over 60 and above that provides products, resources, and community support. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure now, not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll talk about aging, but we'll reimagine it. We'll understand it in a much more different way from you, Laura. But before that, let's understand a bit more about you, your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Well, certainly. Thank you so much. So my name is Laura Lynn Morrissey, and my career started in financial services. I worked for one of the largest financial services firms in the world for many years and moved into fintech and finally healthcare. And, so my career has always been about solving complex problems with a client-first approach. And personally and professionally, I've seen the unique challenges that we face as we age, whether we're navigating complex systems and technology, whether we're trying to find trustworthy products or accessing meaningful resources. What I found is those of us over 60 have more of a difficult time. The United States is typically geared more towards the younger generations, especially online. So I saw a huge opportunity to create an online platform that would enable what I call mature adults and their families to embrace aging as a journey of growth and opportunity. And so that's how SilverSavvy was born. I'm 60, and as I approached 60, I found myself being treated differently. I found my clients, I was in home care, and I dealt with clients of all types, folks that were living with chronic diseases, folks that were in the last stages of their life, and folks that were simply getting, maybe a knee replacement. And what I saw was a real need for advocacy. So when I left the home care industry, I thought, you know what, I still have an awful lot to say, and I have an awful lot of advocacy still left in me. So I created SilverSavvy, and it's been received so far very, very well.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit more about SilverSavvy. Well, what is it? Does it sell, insurance, or does it only talk about insurance? Is it about, advice? It is about products. What is SilverSavvy?
Well, we're a new platform. We're young, but right now we're focusing on three things. So, if you think about products online or even Amazon, there's over 12 million products available to anyone on Amazon. And searching for certain types of products can be very convoluted and can be very frustrating. I've watched, my clients as we're trying to bring mom home from the hospital, trying to set up a hospital at home kind of scenario, and you're online looking for products, wondering which one is the best one. Or maybe you're trying to, you're trying to learn how to, you want to take up hiking, and, what shoes do you buy? What poles do you buy? What clothes do you buy? So the platform is really meant to solve three things. One, offer products which are curated for various scenarios in our life. So there's products for active living, all different, hobbies or athletic hobbies, adaptive living. So some of us who are aging, we may need a little help around the house. We may need to, get in and out of the car using some sort of device, or maybe we need, specialized products if we've got, issues with our eyes. Then there's educational resources. So, aging is not a one-stop shop. It's not, we all age differently. So my experience is I wanted to share, how do we live better with arthritis? How do we live better with chronic issues? I just got through writing a blog about how do we set up our home for the holidays for those of us that, have never really had anyone, over 60, 70 or 80 in the house. We have to think about safety. So it's resources to help educate us as we age, but it's also, when you talk about insurance, advocacy. So the healthcare industry and the insurance industry can be pretty tricky for those of us trying to navigate it, especially if we're in crisis. So, based on my experience in financial services and healthcare, I actually understand how insurance works. So, if you're a family who has a long-term care insurance claim, you want to have someone who's an advocate who understands that process inside and out, upside down and backwards, to make sure that that claim doesn't get denied. Folks have been paying into long-term care insurance now, 10, 15, 20 years. And the last thing that they need in the midst of trying to access those benefits is a denied claim. Because once that claim is denied, it's so much more difficult. So my staff is equipped with the expertise to understand how to file that claim, stay on top of that claim, and advocate for that policyholder so that that claim is accessed, and that money that's really, you've been paying into for years, you can take advantage of those resources. And the last thing is home care. So the U.S. healthcare system is focusing more heavily on the hospital to home model, where families, quite frankly, aren't always prepared to take care of a loved one coming home from the hospital. So I actually provide services that help families understand either how to set up the home properly, what to expect in navigating all of the resources that are going to be in and out of the house, which can be quite overwhelming, as well as if you do want to choose to hire a home care company, there's, not all home care companies are the same. And I understand what a really great home care company looks like. So I provide those services as well.
Right, Laura. So, under what category does your, SilverSavvy come in?
I would say wellness.
Okay.
So, I think I'm sort of I consider myself, I went from financial services into healthcare, and now I'm into wellness, which is sort of a bridge between financial services and healthcare. And I find that I have an insight into two very related industries that, for all intents and purposes, have been existing in a silo. And for those of us that are moving from, the age of working to the age of retirement, and then, eventually we will be dealing with health issues, sometimes chronic health issues. There's a lot of information out there that's not being shared. And I talk with healthcare people all the time. Like, I wish I knew some of this stuff when I was in financial services. And I'm shouting from the rooftop, things that families and folks need to know as they're approaching 60 and over, so that we can be more prepared and eyes wide open as we're living longer, and we're living often with, some level of disease. And, we need to understand how to navigate that situation. And by the way, it's not the end of the world for us. One of the things, I just talked about this in an article the other day, there's a number of, I would say, misunderstandings about us. We as aging adults, some of us consider us old. Well, we're really not old. So many of us are embarking on our, second and third career, quite frankly. I know for me, this is my third career, and I have no plans on stopping. I've got just as much energy as I ever have. I think there's a myth out there that we're sort of the same, that we're all aging the same, that we expect the same, that we should be treated the same. And that's not the case either. I just got through buying a car, and I couldn't believe I walked in, and I've been a customer of this dealership for a long time. And the way that they spoke to me was markedly different. They made assumptions about me. There wasn't any open-ended questions, and I had to keep redirecting them to the car I wanted versus the car they thought I should have, And, we really need to understand as a society that we're aging better. We're in better health. We're living longer. We're more vibrant. We're not all retired waiting to just, fade into the sunset. And so, part of my mission is to really change that conversation around aging.
Absolutely. Laura, that is where I wanted to ask about your views on what is aging today. People want to grow, age, but they don't want to grow old. And science
That's right.
and medical science is giving them that option. 60s are the new 40s nowadays.
Right.
And so,
That's right.
So the retirement age may be 60, but those who fall into that trap that it is to be a retirement age, those people might get aged. Those who think that it is just an age at which I will not be having that job, but actually this is opening hundreds of other doors for me, they will not age. What do you want to tell them? Because they will not look at 60s in the way a lot of this, you were talking about shop dealership, car dealership, or anyone else would want to thrust it on them. Maybe they themselves do not want the same language to hear for themselves if they get to that age, or maybe they are at that age. How do you then define yourself? Whose views I know that you were talking about, this is how they were trying to force, then you were having to bring back the conversation on the right track. How should people, should they look at the way insurance industry is telling them? Should they look at it where the way wellness industry is telling them? Or should they look at the way their heart and minds and their feet and their every part of their body is telling them? How do you want them to look at it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. It's, again, I say, I want to live over 60 the way that I lived under 60, but you know what? I'm now finding that it is what you make of it. And I think there's some education out there because, we look at the way our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents aged. And there was this level of, well, once I retire, my world's going to, shrink. And guess what? It can if you don't pay attention to it. So, there's all sorts of models that you can look at about what does aging well look like. But the bottom line is, you can say it very simply. I mean, I could talk about the 7 elements of aging well, but the bottom line is you want something to look forward to. You want to have a purpose and you need something to love. And I would add, you need to think about yourself in a broader sense that there's something bigger than us out there, whether, whatever you believe in, you need to believe in something bigger than us. And you see that with, the blue zone studies, those that have, that live that type of a lifestyle, the way that they eat, what they believe in, they take care of their bodies, they believe in something greater, they have a social network. And that's one of the biggest things right now, and I was just, I was with someone yesterday talking to them about, they're 65 and they found themselves with a group of friends who have kind of gotten themselves stuck where they had, their lives have shrunk a bit, where they don't have that social curiosity anymore. Perhaps their hobbies, maybe they didn't have any hobbies when they were working. So we have to think about aging as an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. And we have to sharpen some of those skills that may have gotten rusty as we were working every single day. And then we didn't necessarily think about our social skills. Because at the end of the day, for many of us at our age, we've got family dynamics that have changed with the empty nest syndrome. You've got an increase in folks looking at divorce because, they looked at their partners and said, you know what, I'm not sure I have anything in common with you. And so at the end of the day, what I say is this is an opportunity to reevaluate who you are and to look at what makes a really full life around your social network. Again, for me, I started another company, SilverSavvy. And I'm having a blast talking to anyone and everyone, less than 50, over 50, doesn't matter to me. I want to talk about my passion, about what I've learned. And it gives me a purpose every day to be here talking with you about the fact that, we have an opportunity to change the way we age and to change the way we talk about it. And my social network has evolved as a result of what I'm doing here. And it's exciting, but I did have to do it on my own. This didn't come to me. This opportunity didn't just fall in my lap. I had to kind of make it happen. So that's what I tell people is, you don't want to sit around. You want to move your body, even if you're 70 or 80. I became an aging specialist. Believe it or not, there's a thing called an aging specialist. I wanted to understand better, how does the body age and what sort of exercises should we be doing as we age? I see a lot of chair yoga. Okay, is that all that's out there? Well, guess what? What I learned was, yes, for some, chair yoga is it's perfect. It's a perfect fit for certain people. But for others, guess what? You can still lift weights you can still lift weights, you can still build your muscles, and what we call functional fitness. So it's not about, I want to be this buff human, I want to be this muscular person. And that's not a bad thing. But how about I want to climb those stairs into my 80s? I want to be able to walk down the stairs in the morning without slipping. I want to be able to catch myself if I do slip on the ice. We just had a snowstorm here in New Hampshire last night. I want to be able to lift those groceries and not worry about that. So that functional fitness is, I talk about what are the exercises to keep us fit, because at the end of the day, as we age, we want to age well. Even if we have a chronic illness, we want to be able to age well. And there's a way to do it and do it safely. Am I passionate enough?
Absolutely. So I want to understand then that you talked about the experience at the car dealership. Someone
Yes.
who, so all those people you knew for many years. Your business is focused around, this difficult talk.
Yes.
How do you initiate this talk about aging where you are not sure about how their views are about aging at anyone, say somewhere between 58 to 65 or 63, 64, whatever it is? What is the best way to strike that conversation about aging but not about getting old? How do you do that? Have you trained specifically to your, to the people who work with you?
Well, I think yes. So, I hark back to the training that I've had in consultative customer service. And what that says is you have to maintain a curiosity for the types of clients that you have. You have to make them front and center. You have to ask open-ended questions. So instead of assuming that I would want this type of car in this type of budget, why don't you ask me, what types of options are you looking for? What do you want in a car? Do you want to, I had the salesperson say to me, this would be a great car to easily get your grandkids out of. And I'm like, that's couldn't be any further from the truth. I have no grandkids. So I had to keep repurposing the conversation back to what I wanted. So, some of it's just table stakes. If you're really good, if you look at, any kind of a customer service industry, when a person over 50 or 60 or any age, you have to treat them as though they're an opportunity to learn about them. Ask them open-ended questions. And then as they share that information, then make decisions on what the next question is going to be. But I think it's important to really, and this is something that I've been talking to a lot of folks about, is do people understand that our demographic worldwide is going to be the biggest demographic for a very long time? And that, quite frankly, as I said before, we're not a homogenous group. And by the way, we are tech savvy. I know a lot of folks, yes, maybe pre-COVID, we weren't tech savvy. I know I dealt with a lot of clients in home care that didn't know the first thing about how to do a telehealth. So yeah, there was that period of time we had to get people up and running. But you know what? If you're curious, you will learn how to use a phone. You will learn how to get online. And folks are tech savvy like never before. That's not going to change. The next myth, in terms of, busting ageism, is that we don't spend money. And that's really not the case. I mean, those of us over 60 control 70% of the global wealth. On an annual basis in the US alone, we spend $8.3 trillion. That's a lot of money. That's an amazing opportunity for businesses and anyone to really sit down and say, you know what, I better get to know this demographic better so that I can serve them better, because it's going to make it all much better for me in the long run as a business. And, we're not at that stage where we just value necessities. We are looking to travel. We're looking to, similar to a lot of our younger generations who are looking for experiences. I might be downsizing my home, but I'm looking to travel. And I'm looking to have all the things that enable me to travel well. So I am actually, and so many of my cohorts are spending money just as well as any other demographic, but we might be spending it on different things. So get to know what it is we're interested in order for us to live well, because we have the money.
Absolutely, Laura. So one last question I want to understand is, though,
Certainly.
when we use this whole term called aging journey, sometimes it means, you are moving towards the end of life. And that destination, nobody wants to look at. So
No.
here, the journey is that should be the destination, and it is within the journey itself we have to enjoy everything. How should then those people who want to, who know about the eventual destination but want to enjoy, what are the few things that they can remember to enjoy this journey? Because for some it will be few years, for some it will be many years, and that's why this whole concept, personal finance and everything is all changing. People are preparing for a long haul rather than just a few years after retirement.
Well, I think it's amazing. I had the honor of spending time with families as they were in those stages, that last stage. And you're absolutely right. There were people that they had beautiful deaths, and some weren't ready, and they had very stressful deaths. And I think that for those, if I could sum it up, as we move through our aging journey, and we are living the best that we can, constantly evaluating, are we sharing, are we telling people we love them, are we being honest about where we are we making sure that we're living and doing as much as we possibly can with the faculties that we have up until the end, and find peace in all of that at the end, I know I can talk about so many families who had so much left unsaid. And I would hope that as we live our lives the very best that we can, that at the end we have no regrets, and that we've been as honest with ourselves as we are with our loved ones, and that we've had some of those tough conversations, which, a lot of times they're very, very difficult to have. But at the end of the day, that's, to me, what living a good life is, that you've checked all the boxes, you've said what you've needed to say, and you've done what you've needed to do. And, the rest just kind of takes care of itself.
Absolutely. So, what does silver savvy means? What's the meaning of this name? Is it because of gray hair, silver hair, whatever it is? And
Well,
and where does silver savvy meet these people in their journey? Is it before the journey, around 50s, or is it somewhere in the mid? How does that
That's an
work?
awesome question. So, I just thought, I love the word savvy. If you're really good at something, you're savvy. Imagine if you aged well, and you were savvy in how to age, and you understood, and maybe there's some insights you now gain by working with SilverSavvy. And yeah, obviously the age thing, a lot of folks are embracing their gray hairs, and so I thought SilverSavvy would be a fun way to approach this new company of mine. And so the demographic is twofold. It's actually we're approaching folks that are between the ages of 35 and 55. That's one demographic that we talk to. And then the second is, the 55 and over, the 60 and over, because at some point that younger demographic a lot of times ends up being a catalyst for the older demographic for all sorts of reasons. So I thought, let's target both, and make sure that we've got information, services, and understand what's on the mind of both of that demographic. So that's kind of how we came up with SilverSavvy, and those are the folks that we're looking to support.
Wonderful. So, a lot of people would want a lot of information about this. There's so much to learn about this from you, about Silver Savvy, about what you do, so that they can meet you anywhere that is needed for them. So, what's the best way for them to do so?
Well, my website is silversavvy.com, and my email is hello@silversavvy.com. And we have folks 7x24 ready to answer questions on any products we're offering or services that we may need. And we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Laura Lynn Morrissey LinkedIn is, I have a pretty active LinkedIn site as well. So thank you for asking.
With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.